What's up, guys? And man, this is the week before the week where it goes down. And what do I mean by go down? I mean training camp starts. Browns camp is days away, not weeks, days away. We are so close to seeing some actual football, some preseason games. Can't believe I'm excited about the prospect of a preseason game, but I'm just excited to see pads, football players, and the Browns back in Berea. We are so close. And since we are so close, it's time to preview training camp. I'm going to bring in the one and only GBUSH from 92.3 The Fan. He has a show called The Shop. It's on the weekends. GBUSH, how you doing today, man?
Hey, man, I'm doing good. How you living, man? I'm doing well. Hey, it's about 2 weeks before this training camp hit. And so you know how it get. You got that feeling, that level. You like, okay, pads is coming on, helmets. I've been looking at old games, old tapes. I'm ready to go, man. I just need to get that done.
I'm ready to look at some sneaked shaky cam footage of some routes. I'm ready to hear whistles and pads cracking, like that sound. When the first time I hear it, right, when it goes, like, yeah,
that's
there
it.
we go.
That's
we
it.
back.
That's
we
it.
back. But a lot to talk about with this team. I think we covered a ton over the offseason. But the Browns have improved, at least on paper, right? Defensively, offensively, to return the same team, except for they're having guys healthy again. And with everything that this team has going for it, for you going into this camp, what are you the most intrigued to see play out?
I'm actually intrigued to see what's going on with the I want to see what's going on with the secondary, because for me it boils down to what is Greedy Williams going to do. I think Greedy Williams is a situation where he's a second round pick. You got something invested in him. Grant Delpit is a guy who we haven't seen. We think that he's going to be somebody that can be dope. And then also we got some guys like Troy Hill, and we got dudes like Denzel Ward that you want to see what the secondary is going to do, because I actually think that the secondary takes the most time to get accustomed to. It takes the most time to gel. I always laugh and joke and tell people like this: Sheldrick Wetline, he's not that bad. He just happens to have miscommunications that have him looking crazy sometimes. Mm-hmm. When you look around, you're like, who is it? Did you have him or did I have him? Them is touchdowns. So I think the secondary has the most, the chance to be, I would say, the most explosive, the most experienced, and probably one of the best secondaries in best units. But I think it's going to also take enough time to make sure that's something that's not going to, we need to gel with that too.
It's an interesting situation, too, that the Browns have going on, because it's the age-old football cliche. I'm pretty sure back when you were playing ball, G, the cliche was the defense is always going to be ahead of the offense, because, defensive concepts are more kind of universal. There's only so many things to do defensively versus offensively, where guys tend to get a little bit more overcomplicated. But this being the case where the Browns are returning their entire offense and really not changing anything, but the Browns are having a new defense. Do you think it's going to be a situation where the defense looks like they're going to be a lot more behind than they usually are, or do you think the rule is going to hold?
For me, I think the offense is something that is actually, to be truthful, since you have cohesiveness and there's guys that have been throwing the ball, there's guys who've been, running routes. I just saw the blog with Jarvis Landry and those guys like David Njoku and Kareem Hunt is down there, Hollywood Higgins, Odell, Jarvis. They've been throwing with Baker. So I was encouraged to see that. For me, one of the things that I think is going to be a situation that's very tough and very difficult is this. I think that, there's going to be some stuff we want to run. We want to see all the bells and whistles early. And I think it's going to be a little frustrating. And I'm going to caution people right now. We are not going to throw everything in the kitchen sink at the Kansas City Chiefs. That's not going to happen. And we might want to see the 3 safety looks and all of that stuff, but we might not be able to get to that. And especially if you got guys like Jadeveon Clowney or Malik Jackson or Grant Delpit that don't really they're not going to play them that much in the preseason. they may need to get ramped up a little bit. So that's the thing that you may have to wait and watch and see. But I think the defense could start a little slower. I think the defense will be where it needs to be around late October, early November. That's where you can really see what the Browns are made of in terms of what the tools they got.
So on defense, there are a couple guys that I feel like are in a better position they've ever been to have a real kind of breakout year in Myles Garrett and Denzel Ward. Do you think that Myles or Denzel, do you think that they can have a breakout this year, or at least like a more kind of like Myles getting to that 20 sack number he always looks like he's close to getting at or on pace to, or as far as Denzel, you know, finally having that real shutdown corner year that like a Marlon Humphrey had a couple years ago?
I think when you got Myles Garrett, right, you take a look at Myles Garrett, and for me, we want to see Myles Garrett get to that 20. I think it's the holy grail for him, right? We want to see him I only want to see him not only get to 20 sacks, but I want to see him affect the game in the run game. I look at guys like TJ Watt, that's like dominant in the run game. He's just explosive. He messes stuff up. I want to see how Jadeveon Clowney on the other end can actually push Myles Garrett, because I want myself. I want Clowney's mentality to be, somebody let him know, like, hey, it's okay for you to be a number one pick too. It's okay for you to have some number one production too. Like, you play defensive end, he plays defensive end. I would like to see a level of competitiveness like that really push both players to another level, where now you have guys that are really pushing to do that. I think also for Denzel Ward, he on paper, he had a good year on paper, but I think what people would agree, we haven't seen that rookie year Denzel. I haven't seen. We need to get back to that rookie year Denzel Ward where he was jumping routes. Like, he's coming. I always remember the play against Ben Roethlisberger. I think it was week 1 when they in that sloppy game a couple years ago, and I'm like, oh, he came out of zone on that. That was just him making a play. So for me, I think Denzel Ward has an opportunity to get there, and plus, I think he wants the bag. I think Denzel says he thinks that he's a top 5 corner, and when you look at them top 5 corner numbers, that's like 17, 18 a year. If he has a great year, he gonna get that bag.
Now, we talked a lot about the veteran players on this defense. I think one of the more interesting things to look at is the young guys, right? The young guys who might get some run here. You got Greg Newsome, you got JOK, who looks like he's going to probably get a good amount of playing time. And then you have a whole mishmash of young men in the interior defensive line that are trying to get some playing time. Do you think any of these guys have a chance of not just being able to survive on the starting lineup, but being able to kind of be stars on the starting lineup?
Well, if you look at it, I look at, there's 2 guys, and I can't. I know you don't want to be looking at guys who are a little bit on the fringe, and then you want to project them to be starters or stars. People say, "Come on, bro, you reaching," but you got to understand, Marvin Wilson has talent. Malik McDowell has talent. When you look at them, and those guys are from Power 5 schools, go look at their tape. They are, if they were consistent, they would have first, second round grades on consistency. But when you look at it, they flash all the time. They flash a lot. I like those 2 young guys, and I'm gonna tell you about this Togi guy. I'm gonna let you know right now. He's one of them dudes when you be playing defensive line, right? He's not gonna make splash plays. You may make more plays than him, but it'd be like he's always at practice. He don't never be missing. He don't be in the ice tub. He be hustling. He be trying to come first in his gassers. He just keep working hard, and he already strong. They like cats to be in the weight room. I guarantee. Watch. If the couple of dudes above him who have some injury problems, who have Andrew Billings, you got your weight under control. Guys like that who need maintenance days, Togi is going to be in there moving around. I'm telling you that. They're going to play him a lot. They're already spot shadowing him. I'm telling you right now, watch what he does. I think they like him a lot.
Yeah, every year at camp, you have these guys that kind of just become fan favorites because they're just like pure effort guys. I wonder how much fans are going to love the combination of Togiai and Porter Gustin out there, because those are they're pretty all time go home at camp guys. Like
all you need to listen, that they are up for the Jamie Meter Award, the Jamie Meter We Work Hard Award. What? No, Jamie. I've never seen a guy just work his way into being like, oh, that's Jamie Meter. He's trust me, you're going to hear a lot of Porter Gustin, because as soon as they say Togiai, they're going to piggyback Porter Gustin. Oh, Porter Gustin's also one of those guys that just his motor just keeps going. No, you can't. No, he's good for backup, but come on.
It's exactly what you need those high motor guys to keep doing. Is just come off the bench and just provide some energy in the third quarter. But now let's switch gears to the offense, and not as many question marks here, admittedly, right? We're not switching out an entire offense. Nothing's really new here, but there's still a big question. And the big question is Baker Mayfield and Odell's chemistry. We know what Odell has done without Baker Mayfield, right? And I think this is a better way to frame the question than I see a lot of people do it, where they're like, oh, is Baker going to be good enough, or is Odell going to – I think we have seen Odell be elite without Baker Mayfield. We have seen Baker Mayfield be pretty close to elite, top 10 level last year without Odell Beckham. We've seen some of his best years without Odell Beckham. We now need to see them be at their best places with each other. The good news, if you're a Browns fan, is that they are taking those extra steps that they weren't in previous offseasons, or at least publicly, right, where they're working out together as teammates. I know they did in 2018. They weren't teammates then.
Right.
They're working out. It seems like they're getting the extra time in to get that chemistry down, because I think they both understand like the rarity of the situation that they're in right now. What do you think with Kevin Stefanski, some of the adjustments are going to be to get these guys to be on track together? Because we know what they can do individually without each other. You have to imagine that together, the roof, what did Mike Jordan say? The roof is the ceiling.
Yeah.
Right? So,
the roof is the ceiling. I tell you what, I think of it a little bit in a different light. I always think of it like this, man. Say for instance, if you only had, take half your films or half of your videos on YouTube, right? And you just got rid of half of them, right? And just like, those don't count. And then you just had to take people at random, took some of your newer or some of your just regular footage, and it's like, and they judged you on that, right? You'd be like, well, I mean, you took half my footage. I mean, you should have seen this blog I did. I was crazy on this blog. I thought I had the flow on this one, right? But Odell Beckham Jr. played like 7 whole games, right? So it's like, I think it's one of them things where we kind of set him back to the beginning. And it's like, we gave everybody a pass for the Freddie Kitchens thing, right? So we gave everybody got one except for John Dorsey. Rest
went down with that boat.
Yeah, he went down with the ship. But we gave everybody else a pass. And he still had 1,000 yards then, right? It was just not the Odell 1,000 or the impact that we would have liked to see. We want the splash plays and we want impact, right? So this year, I thought he was playing well. I thought he played crazy in the Dallas game. He's the only reason they won that game. I think he played solid in some of the other games or whatever. But
the Indy game gets forgotten a lot. Yeah, he had a couple of just amazing grabs in that game. Just
crazy. Like he gave you what you wanted. Now here's the thing. I think all it takes, and this is how fickle we are. All it takes is for him to come out and have a couple good games in a row, and then all of a sudden the narrative's gone. Then it's, well, he finally turned it around because he saw that we were going to get rid. No, it's just take a little time. I had more than 7 games. I did get injured. I played injured the whole first year. I missed with an ACL this last year. I think one of the things that he did well and indoctrinated himself with the fans. If you have not checked it out, go watch Jarvis Landry's blog. I thought it was really dope because it gives them people an insight of showing the players and how the players really get down with each other. Not from my perspective or your perspective behind the scenes. It's showing what we do. And it showed that Odell and Njoku and Hollywood Higgins and Hunt and Baker and all them dudes is out there working. And they cool. they hang out. So I think they'll get it done. The only issue is it's about how many balls is it to go around. Because I think Njoku's going to have a monster year, and I think Higgins is going, and I think Donovan Peoples-Jones is going to do his thing. So it's just about how many catches and how many touches is going to be available.
I gotta get on my Jalen Rose real quick because I saw the videos too. And I peeped a couple of things, but one thing I did peep in that, and if you're a Browns fan, you might want to peep is you might want to figure out when Travis Kelce contract up because he coming home.
This dude was lobbying tough. I was like watching a little charity game. I'm like, wow, Travis, like you do play in Kansas City. Like he telling Austin Hooper, hey dog, I'm the real Kelce. You the JV Kelce.
he is trying to get out. Travis Kelce like 32, but he might be like Gronk, where he's just useful at 40. Like, he might be one of those guys.
Jason Witten.
Keep an eye on that situation, Browns fans. You're gonna want to know because they ain't gonna take that contract he got now. He got a monster contract right now. But when that contract expires, you might be able to get the last few years of Travis Kelce because he's friends with Baker. He is friends with everybody on the team, and he wants to come back. Well, he at least wants to be back in Cleveland. I don't know if I'm not one of these dudes out here saying I got sources or anything like that. I'm just reading off of what I saw in that video, but go check that out as GBUSH mentioned. Another part of the offense, and this is something that somebody brought up to me that's interesting, right? And it's the offensive line. And to me, I'm more worried that the offensive line could regress, not because I think they're going to be bad or they don't have good players or anything, or that one of the players are a fluke. I just think it's hard to imagine the offensive line coming back being as good as they were last year again and meeting that expectation. But somebody brought this up to me. Offensive lines tend to get better the longer they have cohesive chemistry. And, the one thing the Browns didn't get to do last year was have all 5 of the offensive linemen healthy for an extended period of time. There was always somebody in and out of that offensive line, which makes what they did last year more fantastic. But it also raises the question. This team in this unit gets chemistry together, gets a longer time where they don't have to worry about protocols, sitting them out here and there. Then what could we possibly see from this offensive line once they have cohesion? Because that is a very important part of having a top level offensive line. And when they were just this good raw, how much better can it get?
Yeah, I look at it like, you had a rookie starting, first of all, at left tackle. That's crazy that, you got a rookie, right? You plugged in a guy who hadn't been here, hadn't run the system at right tackle. He's a first-year guy here. You got, Taylor had played before, but you didn't see that level of production. You never saw him, as what he was right there in terms of being one of the best offensive linemen in the game. Batonio's been solid since he's been here, right? And Treader, they went and got him for what he does, and he's shown himself to be a very valuable piece of the line. Sometimes, offensive linemen are like bullpens, right? Bullpens are kind of year to year. You can have a great closer, setup man, all that good stuff, and then all of a sudden the next year they come out and you be like, man, why are that person getting hit around like that? You got to figure it out. They don't know. Maybe you sit a couple starters down. Offensive line, if you can get those dudes and you just want them not to be. For me, I did a show today. I just said it all boils down to injury for me. They got the talent. If you told me and you asked me right now, GBUSH, what you gonna do? Is it between putting them dudes out there or just chilling and just say we're gonna work with our stuff, we'll work with our fits? But I'm not running my starters out there. No preseason games. I would be very judicious, especially with guys who I know who have a history of injury. Clowney, Odell Beckham, he'd be under bubble wrap. You wouldn't see him. I wouldn't put Jarvis out there. I may give Baker some snaps. I'll ask him what he want to do. But my top backs, no. I'm looking for depth pieces and seeing what these rookies can do. But so I, at all costs, want my Hogs to be ready to go week 1. So whether that's maintenance or not, I think that they can be. To me, this year you can start to see a special year. Because like you said, the more you're around people, the more you gel, the more the better you get. So if they can keep them healthy, it could be special.
Yeah, and just to go to show you, hey, look, the Browns are returning the best offensive line pass and run blocking in football. They have Odell and Jarvis Landry still under 30, so they're pretty good. And they have some good receivers behind him in Rashard Higgins, Donovan Peoples-Jones, et cetera, et cetera. We'll see what happens with Anthony Schwartz. And then, Baker Mayfield, who was a top 10 quarterback last year. He was a top 10 quarterback in terms of QBR his rookie year. So, we have that going for him. Then in the tight end room, it ain't the best in the world, but it's deep, right? Austin Hooper, Harrison Bryant, David Njoku. A lot of teams wish they had that. Defensively, all the potential in the world. Ladies and gentlemen, this is why the offseason has felt like it's taking forever, because we have never seen anything like this in brown and orange in quite a while. And we're wondering, dying for anticipation, seeing how this is going to play out. And we are, by the time I post this video, about 10 days away. So we're close. We're close. A lot of anticipation. I know I'm ready for training camp. I know GBUSH is ready for training camp. But that's going to be it for today's video. GBUSH, let them know where to find you.
As always, man, you could go check out the barbershop every single Saturday, 8 a.m. to 12 p.m. on 92.3 The Fan. Download the Odyssey app. You can rewind my show up to 24 hours. Check out the podcast on the barbershop. Just search it on Odyssey. You can check me out the barbershop on YouTube. Just search Garrett Bush 92.3 The Fan. And you can also check out the barbershop merchandise at squadlocker.com. You can check for those links in the description as well.
And if you don't want to miss any take that I have, anything that I have to say, make sure you're locked into GBUSH's show, because sometimes every once in a while I pop up and come on.
He be on there all the time. I told him, I said, you need to repost these, dog. You need to repost it. I'd be like, yo, I'm on there. Listen, go download. I think you was just on last week? We talked
last weekend. Yeah,
we talked last week. We talk all the time.
If that's a surprise to you, you want to hear me on the radio, if you want to hear more of me and GBUSH, check out the barbershop, man. Whenever he's on, there's a good chance that you might see me pop up on the show. So GBUSH doing big things. We're trying to do big things out here for this season. Again, guys, thank you for watching. Have a great day. Have a good night.